Have you ever really thought about what connects a sizzling burger, the engine in a car, and even the phone or computer you're watching this on? It's something we use absolutely every day, but we totally take it for granted. Fire. Today, we're going to go on this incredible journey to understand this amazing and, yeah, sometimes dangerous force of nature.
But hang on, before we dive in, let's just play a little game of what if. Just try to imagine a world where humans never figured out how to tame fire. I mean, forget about cozy campfires or a nice warm meal. Picture the nights, just long and pitch black, with nothing to keep the shadows away. It would be cold, it would be dark, and let's be honest, our food would be really, really boring. So the real question is, how did we go from being terrified of this flame to making it our most powerful ally?
So here's the plan for our quest today. We're going to start in that world without fire, then we'll see how our ancestors first got a hold of it. We'll watch as it literally builds civilizations, then powers our entire modern world, and finally, and this is super important, we'll learn how to live safely with its incredible power.
All right, our adventure begins way, way back in the past with our earliest human ancestors. They didn't have matches or lighters, right? So where did they even get their first fire? Let's go find out.
You know, it might surprise you to learn that long before we could create fire, we first had to learn how to capture it. Just imagine a crazy thunderstorm, and bam, lightning hits a tree and it bursts into flames. Our ancestors would have seen this not just as something to run away from, but as a huge opportunity. They would have bravely crept up to that burning tree, grabbed a smoldering branch, and carefully carried it back to their camp. So the first big step wasn't making fire, it was learning how to keep it going.
Okay, if I put on my archaeologist hat for a second, the number one piece of evidence we look for is a hearth, basically a prehistoric fireplace. And finding one tells us so much. It means people were gathering together, they were staying warm, cooking their food, and probably scaring away predators. A hearth isn't just a pit for a fire, it was the very first version of a family living room.
Now this is the part that just blows my mind. Look at the amount of time we're talking about here. These aren't just little baby steps. They are gigantic leaps, separated by hundreds of thousands of years. Think about that. It took hundreds of thousands of years just to go from controlling a flame to building a decent fireplace. And then even longer to invent a simple lamp. This was not a sprint, you guys. It was a slow-motion marathon of discovery that played out over countless generations.
So, our ancestors finally mastered fire for warmth and for cooking. But believe me, that was just the beginning. That little spark was about to ignite a massive revolution, building entire civilizations right from the ground up.
And this slide right here shows you just how huge that change was. Before fire, life was a constant struggle. All your food was raw, your tools were pretty basic, and a simple clay pot would just dissolve in the rain. But with fire, suddenly the impossible became possible. You could clear forests to plant farms, you could make strong metal tools, and you could turn mushy clay into durable, waterproof containers. It wasn't just a game changer, it was like inventing a whole new game.
Let's break that down a bit. For farming, people used fire to clear huge chunks of forest to grow crops. For storing and cooking food, they built these super hot ovens called kilns, which could bake soft clay into hard pottery. And then, metallurgy. That's just a fancy word for a really cool idea, using intense heat to basically melt rocks and release the pure, strong metal that's hidden inside. And with that, hello, Bronze Age.
With all this incredible new power, it's really no surprise that fire became way more than just a tool. It became something sacred, something magical. Just for a second, imagine you're a blacksmith in ancient Rome. Your whole life, your whole job, depends on the fire in your forge. That flame isn't just heat to you, it's a divine power, a gift from your protector, the god Vulcan.
And this was true pretty much all over the world. The Romans had Vesta for the fire at home, and Vulcan for the fire in the workshop. In Hinduism, Agni is the god of fire. For Zoroastrians, fire is this central, sacred symbol. And we still see echoes of this today. The Olympic flame is a perfect example, a modern tradition that connects all the way back to this ancient respect for the sacredness of fire.
Okay, so fire built ancient civilizations. That's pretty cool. But how did it create the modern world of trains, planes, and cars? Let's see how that little campfire evolved into a powerful engine.
First, though, we have to talk about the destructive side. As people got better at harnessing fire's power, they also figured out how to use it as a weapon. The ancient Assyrians had flaming arrows, and the Byzantine Empire developed this terrifying secret weapon called Greek fire, some mysterious stuff that could actually burn on water. They used it to just demolish enemy ships.
But fire's good side was about to get a massive upgrade. Back in 1712, an inventor named Thomas Newcomen had this brilliant idea. He realized that if you use fire to boil water, you create really powerful steam, and that steam can push a part called a piston back and forth, and that motion can be used to power all kinds of machines. All of a sudden, you could pump water out of mines, run factories, and even power trains. The steam engine was born, and with it, the Industrial Revolution kicked off.
And from that point on, things moved fast, like way faster than in ancient times. The steam engine gave us trains and factories. Then in 1886, Carl Benz figured out how to use tiny, controlled explosions, yep, that's fire, inside an engine to push a car forward. That's the internal combustion engine in your car. Just a few decades after that, we were using the exact same idea with liquid fuel to launch rockets into space. All of that movement powered by fire.
We've seen how fire can build civilizations and literally power our world. But, as we all know, fire can also be incredibly dangerous. So the final and maybe the most important part of our whole quest is learning how to live safely with fire and treat it with the respect it absolutely deserves.
You know, I find this so fascinating. People have known about fire's danger for a very long time. As cities got bigger, the risk of a massive fire got bigger too. The ancient Romans were some of the first to really deal with this problem, and a super wealthy Roman named Crassus created the world's first private fire brigade almost 3,000 years ago.
See, to fight fire, you have to understand it. And it all boils down to this simple but brilliant idea, the fire triangle. A fire needs three things to burn. It needs oxygen from the air, it needs heat to get it started, and it needs fuel, something to burn. If you take away just one of those three things, the fire goes out. It's the golden rule of fire safety.
And the best part is, you don't need a superhero cape to be a fire safety hero in your own home. All you have to do is remember how to break that triangle. So keep flammable things like paper away from heaters to remove the fuel. You can safely pour water on a campfire to remove the heat, or smother a small fire in a pan with a lid to cut off the oxygen. But your most important superpower? That's your early warning system. Make sure you test your smoke alarms every single month. It is such a simple thing to do, but it can absolutely save lives.
So from a tiny flickering flame in a cave, all the way to the rocket engines that can take us to space, fire has been our constant companion. It's been our greatest tool, and it's a force that we must always, always respect. It has powered our entire human history. Which leaves us with one final, really big question. What's going to power our future?